Hey everyone, Robert here from Blackbird Studio ILM. As always, we'd appreciate a subscribe, a share, a comment if you like the content of this video or any of our other videos. It helps our small woodworking channel grow. So today I'm going to have a fairly in-depth comparison between the Microjig Grrripper and the Milescraft GrabberPro. Some of the similarities, the differences, pros and cons of both. And both of them have been very well used by me. The Microjigs, this is my second Microjig. I've been using them for several years. Milescraft I've been using for about a year. The other panel that went in here, wider one, has been completely chewed up and is gone. So let's get to it. The very first thing you're going to see, based on how I've got them set up on this grid, is the GrabberPro from Milescraft is quite a bit larger than the Grrripper. The Grrripper looks like it is 3.5 inches wide by 7 inches long. The Grabber appears to be 3.5 inches wide by 10 inches long. And I'm sorry, 11 inches long. No, 10 inches long. I was right the first time. That's going to be the biggest difference between the two. They are designed very similarly with a few minor differences. And for a lot of people, the bigger size of this means a lot to them. They love it because they say it gives them more support because it's longer. The Milescraft is shorter. It's really a matter of personal experience and opinion. I personally prefer the size of the Microjig. The shorter, more compact size of it, when I grab a hold of it, I am closer to the end. My hand is closer to the end, so I can tip forward and put more pressure on the front end if I need to, more pressure on the back end very easily. Here, since it's so much longer, it's much more difficult to get that pressure because I've got to push a lot harder because it's got farther to travel to get to the end. So that is one point that goes to the Microjig. Now, a point that goes to the GrabberPro is the angle of this handle. This is my biggest plus to the Milescraft. I love this handle angle when I'm off to the side, because of course I stand off to the side. I don't want any offshoots kicking back on me. This angle is very nice. You can do something just a little bit similar with Microjig by adjusting your handle more at an angle this way, but it doesn't do quite the same as the handle actually being angled, especially when the handle on the Milescraft, if you can see it, has some very distinct indentations for your fingers, whereas the Microjig doesn't. If you feel it, there's some tiny little detents, but nothing that I would really call a finger hold. So that is a point that goes to the Milescraft. I prefer the way that the Microjig adjusts. With the Microjig, you have your two knobs. You loosen them, this slides. It slides in a track, basically a modified T-track from side to side. To get this off, to change it, you actually take these two screws off. This piece comes off. You can change this out. This also comes with a 1/16 inch edge that you can put on here for tiny, tiny detail work. So that's another advantage. So that's 2 points to the Microjig being the T-track and the smaller available edge piece. For the GrrripPro, 1 point is going to go to it because comes with two separate large sizes. It's got this one and it's got a wider one that, like I said, was chewed up. I don't care for the tightening system. For this, you actually are tightening this metal tube, And it's at an angle because this is pushed farther back. As I loosen the tube up, it becomes more pliable or more flexible in that track, which allows this to move. And then when you tighten it down, if I loosen them both and slide this down, didn't loosen it quite enough, slide this down, and then I go to tighten them up, you'll see they're not at that same angle that they were at before, because the tube is what is actually tightening. It's creating pressure between the end of the tube and the inside of the plastic piece here, and to me that just seems like a failure point. Things can slip based on pressure. What happens if this tube fails or bends slightly? Your pressure is going to be released. Another issue I have with this is it does not have a dedicated edge piece. So if you take this off, you have to use one of your mobile pieces as your edge here. I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of using these leveling feet. This is designed to be put down level with the work surface with a piece of wood underneath that your GrabberPro is resting on. You tighten it down, and you're supposed to have a nice, smooth, flat area to slide on. My experience, it is almost impossible to get this tightened down level and flat with the Grrripper sitting out level and flat on the piece of wood. So I put this on here just for this review. Don't like it, don't use it. The Microjig comes with the same thing, so I don't use it for this either, but at least with this, you know, it's got both sides plus an additional smaller side plus your centerpiece that you can do there. So those are the real differences between the two. One other difference, you can't see it on either one because they're gone, but this had a piece that would hang down, and it was a solid long strip that was solid plastic just like this, for grabbing hold of the back edge of a board and pushing it on through the blade. Well, the problem is if you're straddling the blade is going to hit that, and it cut holes and slots in it a couple times. Then all of a sudden, coming through one time, it completely shattered and the plastic flew everywhere. There was still one little piece attached right here, but all of this shattered into a bunch of pieces and flew all over the place. So that was a major safety issue. I think that is a safety problem that Milescraft overlooked, and they really need to look into and go and change that feature, make it a softer rubber if they're going to keep it a solid piece. It's also missing from the GrrripPro for one reason, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But with theirs, it fits into this slot also. So wherever you put this, you can put this on the other side. You can drop it down, you can lift it up out of the way. You can lift the Milescraft one up out of the way also, but it's nicer having a smaller piece to grab onto there. I took it off these ones immediately. I have never used it on that because I also use this. This is from my mind just went blank. Microjig. And this has pieces that automatically drop down. Gravity pulls them down. They grab a hold of, so you can have it sitting on your piece of wood, and as you slide to the end of the wood, they drop down, and you grab a hold of the end of the wood and push it through. So I normally have this in this hand, this in this hand as I'm pushing through. So, and then I'll slide it back. It grabs a hold of the board, and we just come right along through. Once I get to a point where this is going to hit the saw, I lift it off, adjust this back, push it the rest of the way through with that. So I use these in combination. Now, The Grrripper does have the same thing as this, or similar to this, without the guide feet. It's basically just a flat pad with some gripping material on it that you can help to push things through. I had it also. I don't even know where it is because I never used it. I really didn't like it. It was always causing me problems. It was always a concern because the whole purpose of it was to keep control when you got closer and closer to the blade. Well, it was the same length as this. It was big. It got in the way much more quickly. Kept having to move it off the back edge of the wood, which gave you less control and made it actually a little more dangerous, in my opinion, because of how it, the distribution of pressure as more and more of that flat gripper or grabber was actually grabbing hold of the wood. So I got rid of it almost immediately. I'm not sure where it is. It's in a box somewhere around here, I believe. So I stopped keeping count because the GrabberPro kept having minuses to it. The Grrripper kept having pluses to it. So needless to say, without a doubt, in my opinion, my personal opinion, the Microjig Grrripper Pro is my favorite of the two by far. This is what I will be buying to replace very soon since it's falling apart. This is still real good. I've lost one of the drop pieces, which is fine with me because this is the side I always keep up against the rail or up against the piece of wood as I'm sliding. So I've still got the double backside, but also I can actually just pop these off and snap them down onto there, and we're good to go with two on whatever end. So if one of these breaks or gets cut, I can move this one down. So that is going to end my comparison. Again, without a doubt, this right here is your winner. As always, a subscribe, a like, a share, a comment would be greatly appreciated. Tell me what you think about the two. If I'm totally off base in your opinion, put it down there. Tell me I'm a moron who doesn't know what he's talking about. If you agree with me, put it down there. Let me know that I got some support going on with some other woodworkers. Just keep it in mind the safety things that I brought up. I think they're probably the most important part of this comparison. To be honest, it really freaked me out when the blade hit the hard plastic on this and shattered it and plastic started flying everywhere. So keep that in mind. But as always, have a great day.